Chinese people might be sent 30 years back without electricity and end up hungry without anything to eat. Today we will talk about China and the drought they suffer, sucking water bodies dry. We will talk about the consequence and the reasons for this lack of water in China. Why are the Chinese water bodies running out of water? What role did CCP play in the mess that China is in now? The Chiang Ling River in China has dried up due to the country's record heat and drought. Check out how the river appeared before the drought and how it looks now to see the full impact of this issue. China's property troubles, banking crisis, and foreign policy toward Taiwan have only become hot issues. However, another fatal crisis threatens the eastern nation as we know it. That is the nature of the water crisis. The current water crisis that China is facing may be the most severe peril the country has ever faced. So how horrible is it? Well, it is one of the worst droughts in recent memory. There is also a record heat wave causing hydropower reservoirs to dry up. Emergency steps to save electricity have been implemented, which are currently down by up to half. It has resulted in 350,000 people in rural Chiang suffering from a lack of water supply. Let us go into greater depth about China's dry period and the CCP's role in exacerbating the problem. The truth, which the CCP has kept hidden for many years, but is now revealing as an unavoidable disaster, is that China is on the verge of collapse owing to a water shortage. A multi-year drought, the worst China has seen in years, threatens to destabilize the country's already battered economy, on top of internal incompetence by government officials. Water has always been a significant aspect to consider in China, which is more apparent now than ever. According to the United Nations, despite having 21% of the world's population, China has only 7% of the world's freshwater supplies. Surprisingly, most of these water supplies are in southern China rather than northern China, where most people live. This may appear to be a minor issue at first. After all, it is just water, one would argue. However, as Charles Parton, a former British diplomat and China expert, pointed out in 2018, China can print money, but not water. You either have it or you do not. Furthermore, well, China lacks it. This is a significant issue for a country that currently consumes 10 billion barrels of water daily. In contrast, this is approximately 700 times its daily oil use. One could argue that water has been the unsung hero of China's decades of tremendous economic progress, because it is necessary for growing food, producing energy, and supporting humanity. With China's massive industrial sector, water scarcity is increasing. Water scarcity is hurting the economy and forcing the shutdown of critical industries across the country. This will decrease China's already meager growth estimates, further pushing the country into a full-fledged recession. With the drought and heat wave in full swing, China, the United States, and the rest of the world are set to bear the brunt of China's woes. If rivers and lakes dry up and the heat wave continues, the impact on China's food and electrical output will be significant. Furthermore, this is noteworthy given China's position as the world's second most powerful country. This could result in much larger-scale global food and industrial resource shortages than we have experienced in recent history. Given China's prominence in the global economy, any water-related disturbances in China will immediately reverberate across global food, energy, and material markets, bringing economic and political upheaval for years to come. So yeah, Chinese droughts may hurt you and the United States. To make matters worse, the subsurface water supply cannot meet the needs of the thirsty population. According to a 2018 survey of surface water by China's Ministry of Ecology and Environment, 19% was deemed unsafe for human consumption, and around 7% was deemed unfit for any purpose. Moreover, groundwater quality is deteriorating, which is crucial for securing water supplies during droughts like the one China is currently experiencing. As a result, over 30% of China's subterranean water is rated unsafe for human consumption. In addition, 16% are declared unfit for any use. According to data from the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, China uses roughly twice as much fertilizer and 4 times as many pesticides as the United States, while having 25% less arable territory. According to a new study, pesticides are frequently utilized inefficiently on small farms in China. Land migration rules may help explain why the country utilizes 30% of the world's fertilizers and pesticides on only 9% of cropland. This could have contributed to the pollution of their subsurface reservoirs. The CCP is to blame since, for decades, Beijing has generally decided to conceal the full magnitude of China's environmental problems to prevent potential public reaction and avoid doubts about its competency. As a result, the CCP has allowed the country to deteriorate. This lack of transparency and China's current drought have resulted. This has resulted in the current chaos. The first and most apparent issue expected to arise is a food crisis due to a lack of water supplies. However, a brief look at Chinese history reveals that drought-caused famines helped bring down at least 5 of China's 17 dynasties. This is because hunger and food scarcity tend to erase any barriers that people may have. Recognizing this, the CCP has placed a strong emphasis on increasing grain output in order to assure food security. This has resulted in laws in which the government incentivizes farmers to maximize corn, rice, and wheat production to achieve sufficient levels. The problem is that farms and communities are sucking water far faster than nature can replenish it to support these harvests. According to satellite data, North China lost an amount of groundwater equivalent to more than double what Beijing drinks each year between 2003 and 2010. As a result, many farmers have to find new resources as groundwater levels plummet. Some are excavating larger, deeper wells, typically at tremendous expense. However, continuous overdraws may leave water physically unreachable, despite the pumpers' willingness to invest in deeper wells and new pumping technology. Add to that the fact that China's subsurface water is poisoned and unfit for human consumption, and the problem worsens. This causes a global food catastrophe. According to statistics, if North China suffers a 33% crop loss due to water scarcity, China may need to compensate by importing around 20% of the world's internationally marketed corn and 13% of its traded wheat. Typically, this would result in an imbalance in global food imports. However, such a scenario is not ruled out, given that a drought in early 2022 reduced Argentina's estimated grain output by 33%. To compound matters, if the Chinese drought worsens and damages rice yields in southern China. Given China's dominant percentage of rice consumption, it could cause even more market shocks. This is especially true given that the 3 major staple grains are essential for millions of low-income customers worldwide. With the type of population China has and the scale of its industrial sector, China has the world's largest energy sector. This comes as no surprise. The issues are that much of this power is hydroelectric, which means it uses enormous amounts of water to generate electricity. Water is required to cool reactor cores and used fuel rods in other nuclear power plants. This is why practically all of China's power plants are located on the banks of significant bodies of water, or at least near them during the summer, where they can easily acquire vast volumes of water from rivers and lakes. Since the drought, most of these power plants have been forced to shut down because they can no longer run amid the mortgage, property, and time-one crisis. This serves to highlight the CCP's weakness. If it continues to close factories and loses only 15% of its hydropower production in a year due to low water levels behind dams, it would have to raise energy output by an amount comparable to what Egypt generates in a year to compensate. The only way to accomplish this would be to use coal-fired power plants. This will have the desired short-term consequences, but in the long run, it will reverse their environmental progress and exacerbate the same contamination that has destroyed their underground receivers. The population of China is bearing the brunt of the impact of China's power output decline. This has sparked outrage since, during a heatwave, the government has opted to limit electrical supply to the populace and even close factories such as Toyota's. As a result, air conditioning systems are scarcely functional. On the other hand, Beijing has given Tesla special treatment by allowing them to continue working at total capacity at the expense of its inhabitants, something the people are not happy about. China is currently the world's top producer of aluminum, ferrosilicon, lead, manganese, magnesium, zinc, rare earth elements, and other specialty metals and materials. You will notice an impending problem, such as power outages in a particular region. Wind power shortages restricted magnesium smelter operations in Chiang province, which accounts for roughly half of the world's supply, carmakers discovered in late 2021. As magnesium stockpiles depleted, prices skyrocketed to 27 times their average amount at the start, causing global supply issues. With these essential components at risk of limited supply due to China's troubles, there will most likely be global supply chain challenges, as industrial facilities consume more than 65% of China's electricity. In addition, blackouts by the order would impair various critical material supplies, as we have previously seen with factory closures. There you go, guys. This is an overview of China's water crisis. Let us know the next topic you want us to do.